All right, guys. I hope you had a good fall break. Today we're doing modeling sequences, okay? So what is the definition of a sequence? A sequence is an ordered list, okay? An ordered list of numbers, okay? So know that we are going to deal with numbers. It's an ordered list of numbers. For example, this is a sequence. We have 2, 7, 12, 17. You notice that there's something happening here. Okay, how did they get these numbers? We will learn about them. What is the difference between this and that? You see, here you notice that 2 plus 5 is 7, 7 plus 5 is 12, 12 plus 5 is what? 17. So, however, 2 plus, so from 2 to 6 is 4. You notice from 6 to 18 is 12. So you want to know what are they doing. Then 18 to 54 is a little bit like 36. So you want to know what actually they are doing, okay? Those are two different kind of sequences, okay? This one is just 2, 7, 12. So 2, so the difference here is 5, the difference here is 5, the difference here is 5. But this one, the difference is 4, then it goes to 12, then it goes to, what's the name, 36. So you want to know what actually is happening over there, okay? So we have to know what are the different kinds of series we have, okay? Now, they also ask you to find the 9th term of the sequence. Now, imagine that, I know this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the first 4 terms, right? What will be the next number? I think the next number will be 22 because I know it's 5 plus 17 is 22 and 27. But do I count all the way to 9? I don't want to do that. So they will ask you what is the 9th term of the sequence. We'll find out, there are formulas for us to be able to do that, okay? So, what is an arithmetic sequence? Okay, you saw that we have two different sequences when I was giving you an example where they are different. One of them, the difference was 5. One of them, the difference were not that known. So, what is an arithmetic sequence? Okay, that's what we want to know. Okay. All right. So, if the sequence has a common difference, if the sequence has a common difference, sequence has a common difference. What do they mean by common difference? We'll find out about that common difference, right? So we normally name the common difference to be D. Okay, so that D, so the common difference, which is D difference, will be equal to AK minus 1. Now, you are wondering what is AK minus AK plus 1. I will use an example to demonstrate that for you. Okay? Well, what it means is that we are looking at the term before and subtracting it from the previous term. Okay? So, if I have a sequence like the first one we have, you know we had a sequence 2, 7, 12. Okay? So if you want to find a common difference, it will be 7 minus 2. Or if you take this one, then you are doing 12 minus, this is 5, right? Okay, this is also 12 minus 7 is also 5. So whichever one you use, just take the previous. So this AK means that take the one before and subtract it from the one previously preceding it. Okay, so when you take this one, subtract it from this one. When you take this one, subtract it from this one. But there's no number here, so you cannot take the first term, right? That's what it means. Okay. Now let's look at an example of a geometric sequence. This one has to do with common ratio. Cool. So common, if there is common ratio, we call it geometric difference. Okay. Geometric sequence. Now, what's the common ratio? R, which is equal to, look at this, AK divided by AK minus 1. Okay. Now, for the first sequence, the second sequence we had, what was it? Look at it. We had a sequence, this, okay, is 2, 6, 18, 54. So imagine that I have a sequence 2, 6, 18, and 54. Now I want to find the common ratio. That will be equal to, remember, AK. So 6 divided by 2, and that is 3. So that will be my common ratio. If I want, or I can use this, which is 18 divided by 6. That is also the same as 3, which is the common ratio. So depending on what, if you take 54, then divide it by 18. If you take 18, divide it by the one before. If you take 6, divide it by 2. Okay, that makes sense, right? So that's called geometric sequence. Okay, it has a common ratio, and then how do we call it? Arithmetic sequence have a common difference. Okay, so we have common ratios and common difference. One of them you are subtracting, the other one you are dividing. That's the only difference. Okay, common ratio you divide. Okay, so we want to how to find the n term of a sequence. Remember that when we had a sequence, I say find the 9th term. What if they say find the 100th term? Will you list all the way to 100? No, you don't have to do that. There are formulas that does that for us. Okay, so now how do I find the common difference? So for an arithmetic sequence, okay, how do I find the nth term? Arithmetic sequence. How do I find the n terms of an arithmetic sequence? Okay, the n term. So assuming I have 3, 5, 7, 9, okay, and 11. Okay, the formula for finding the nth term. So assuming they ask me to find the 10th term. Okay, so I want the 10th term of this sequence. Okay. Well, so it's from 5, there are about 5 of them. I have to list 5 more in order to get to 10, but I don't want to do that. The formula is giving us a, n, so n is the 10 that is there. Okay, so you take the first term, which is a, and then you take n minus 1. The n is the mth term, okay? N minus 1 times the common difference. That's the formula. So if I want to find the 10th term, I'll just write a10, because n is equal to 10. When they ask you, the 10th term, that means n is equal to 10, which is equal to the first term, which is the first one, a plus the first term is the first one, a plus 10 minus 1, okay, 10 minus 1. Now, how do we find the common difference? Remember we said d is equal to what? Take this one and subtract from this one, okay? So that will be 5 minus 3, and that is 2. Okay, so now my a is 3. Okay, that's the first term, plus 10 minus 1 is 9 times 2. Okay, so this is 18, right? This is 18 plus 3, and that is 21. Okay, 18 plus 3 is, this is equal to 21. So if you want me to find the nth term of this sequence, it is 21. So if you list 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, it should go to 13, 15, 17, 19, and 21. So you can actually list it all the way, but the formula gives you, but if they ask you 100, you cannot list that all the way to 100, okay? So basically that is the formula and how to use it. So remember, this is the first term, which is 3. This is the common difference, 5 minus 3 is 2. And then n is the nth term, okay? Now, let's go to something we call, what about, how do we find the nth term when we have a geometric sequence, okay? Geometric sequence. This is what I mean, geometric sequence, okay? So we have geometric sequence. How do we find the nth term? So, sequence. Well, the formula is given as this, okay? This is the formula. the formula is given as an, then a, which is the first term, rn minus 1. Remember, okay, so for example, if I give you an example, and I ask you to find, where's my example? I need an example. Yes. So if I ask you to find the sixth term, okay, find the sixth term of this sequence, okay, of this sequence. What's the sequence? We have 3, 12, 48, all the way, right? Now, how do I know? This is my first term. Remember, A is first term, which is 3. Okay? R, which is the common ratio. We told you that the only difference is that in the geometric sequence, the common ratio is given as AK divided by AK minus 1. Okay? Which is this one, the previous, the first one divided by the previous one, which is 12 divided by 3, and that is 4. Okay, so for me to find, use the formula. Remember, the formula says that AN is equal to ARN minus 1, right? Now they said we should find a system, so it means N is equal to 6. So A6 will be equal to, what's the first term? Our first term was actually 3, right? Remember, the first term over here is 3, okay? And the common ratio is 4. So we have 3 times, okay? You can even put it into bracket, 3 times R, which is 4, N is 6 minus 1, okay? This will be equal to 3 times 4 raised to the power 5. Remember, this is 6 minus 1 is 5, okay? The answer to that, put this into your calculator, okay? The answer to that is 3072, okay? That's pretty straightforward, okay? So that is how we find the nth term of a geometric sequence. So what we learned today, closure, if you are given the first term of a sequence, so assuming I gave you the first term of a sequence to be 3, and then I told you the common difference is 4, okay? So if that is the case, if I ask you to find the 10th term, okay, 10th term, all you have to do is to write the formula AN is equal to A plus N minus 1 times D, right? Remember, this is arithmetic because they gave you common difference. So this will be equal to 3 plus N is 10 minus 1 times 4. Okay? The answer will be 3 plus 9 times 4 is 36, right? So this is equal to 39, right? Likewise, if I give you A is equal to 7 and R is equal to 3, and I ask you to find the 10th term again, right? Remember, because they said R, this is a what? A geometric sequence, right? So we have A10, okay? A10, this is supposed to be actually 10, so N is 10, so A10, right? A10 is equal to A R 10 minus 1. If you know the formula here, if you notice the formula, this will be equal to A10 will be now be equal to, what is my A? 7 times, my ratio is 3, 10 minus 1. So this is equal to 7 times 3 raised to the power 9. Okay? Put this into the calculator nicely. Let me do that. I'm right there with you. So I put this into the calculator. Okay, your calculator have a power, so 3 raised to the power 3 raised to the power 9, okay, times 7. This is equal to 13776. 137781. Okay, 137781. So sometimes they will give you the common difference and the first number, and they will ask you to find maybe the 100th term or the 15th term. Okay, just use the formulas, do the substitution, and that will be it. Okay, I hope you are being good at home. Okay, see you in the next video. Okay, on Tuesday. Bye.